Okay, I'm Dr. Larry Burk. I'm a radiologist at Duke Hospital specializing in MRI for several decades. I've been also studying the health effects of electromagnetic fields and radio frequencies for over 30 years. One of the conditions I've become aware of in the last decade or so has been electrohypersensitivity, also known as microwave sickness. And these are people who are canaries in the coal mine, are aware of the impact of all the wireless in their environment, and get a whole variety of different symptoms. And having met a number of these people, I wanted to introduce you to one here who lives here in Durham. And we're involved in the Durham 5G free group on Facebook, which you can find. And I'm going to introduce you to Ellen, who lives here in Durham and has had this situation since 2010. Ellen, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thanks for having me, Larry. As you mentioned, I've been electrosensitive since 2010. What happened with me was in 2007, I got a wireless modem. That is a modem that used 3G technology and received internet through the air, just like a cell phone. There was no cable at all. I didn't realize, but these modems, they're sending signals too, back and forth to the cell towers, just like a cell phone does. I just thought it was like, you know, send me internet like a satellite dish or something, but that's not how they work. Anyway, so I was sitting 2 feet from this thing that was just sending out massive amounts of radiation. And actually, that's what made me sick, but I didn't realize it. So in 2010, I started getting a number of symptoms. They started with things that were kind of subtle and seemed sort of related to psychological kind of things, like feeling real agitated or glum or impatient or anxious. And these were symptoms I was getting without the usual accompanying thoughts. Like they were, I felt like they were the physical sensation of depression, the physical sensation of anxiety, like I was feeling the stress hormones, you know, but I wasn't having anxious thoughts or anything. Anyway, then on top of that, over the course of the next couple of years, from 2010 to 2012, those symptoms got worse and more symptoms started piling on. A weird pressure in my head, an oral migraine, that is the flashing that you get in your eyes right before a migraine, sharp pain in my ears, heart palpitations, trembling, difficulty thinking. I couldn't, word retrieval became really difficult.
And what happened when you went to your doctor about this?
The doctor had no clue what was going on, did lots of tests, couldn't find anything wrong with me. Nothing was wrong with me. Everything came back just fine.
So how did you figure it out?
Well, my router, which was attached to the modem, it was on the other side of me, it broke. So I contacted the internet provider who had provided me with both the modem and the router, and I asked for a new router. And they said, oh, we don't sell routers anymore, but we'll send you a modem with a router in it. And I said, that would be great. And I moved the modem upstairs so that my partner could get online while I was down here teaching guitar, and waited for the new router modem to arrive so that we could both be online at the same time. Anyway, when it arrived and I plugged it in and was configuring it with the tech person, all of the symptoms, every one of them just hit me really hard. And then I realized, hey, I'd been feeling better before. But as soon as I plugged that modem in, all of those symptoms hit me, plus a new one, which was this really sharp pain in my head, like it was just crackling, on top of all the others. Sharp pain in my ears, bad agitation. So I told the tech, I said, I think there's something wrong with this modem. And, you know, I unplugged it. And all the symptoms disappeared within like 30 to 45 seconds, just gone. And I plugged it back in, wham, it hit me really hard again. And I unplugged it, went away. So I thought, okay, I'm not going to use that new modem. I'll use the old one, leave it upstairs, plug a router into it upstairs, and you know, everything would be fine. But it wasn't. The modem and the router were still causing symptoms. And I noticed the further away I was from this equipment, the better I felt, you know? So anyway, over time, my sensitivity got really worse and worse. And cell phones bothered me. I had to start asking my students to turn off their cell phones when they came in. And actually, it was interestingly enough, it was a student who told me what my condition was called. I still didn't know what it was called. I knew what was causing it, but I couldn't find information online about it. I asked her to turn off her cell phone, and she said, "Do you have EHS?" And I said, "What?" And she said, "Electrohypersensitivity." And I said, "Well, I don't know what it's called, but cell phones make me sick." And she said her cousin, who lived up in New Jersey, had the same thing, and that, you know, she put me in touch with this woman in New Jersey who actually put me in touch with some people here, and provided some resources for me.
And the other term I've heard used for that is microwave sickness.
Mm-hmm.
And I think once you realize that's what's going on, then you have to explore wired options, you know, for your internet access. So what did you do at that point?
Yeah, that's what I did. I got DSL, and and hardwired everything, disabled the wireless in the computer and in the modem and the router and everything. Don't allow cell phones in the house anymore. I've been shielding the house. Most of the house is completely shielded now with Y-Shield paint. Also,
I think you said you'd also use some other types of metallic shielding as well.
Right. Yeah. The paint is a conductive paint, but also I'm using the stuff called RF shielding foil from
okay.
Yeah. And then there's also just a window screen. If it's the aluminum type, you have to be careful to get the aluminum type. I've got that on some of my walls, and
I think you told me once that after students turn off their cell phones, someone came in with a Fitbit one time, right?
Yeah, little by little, I discovered all these things that I didn't know anything about. Yeah, she came in and I started getting symptoms as though she had forgotten to turn off her cell phone. So I asked her, I said, "Did you forget to turn off your cell phone?" And she's like, "No." And I said, "Do you have an iPad in your purse?" And she's like, "No." And then she goes, "Oh, I know what it could be." And she showed me her wrist, and she had this little plastic thing on her wrist. She said, "It's a Fitbit and it works wirelessly." And I'd never heard of a Fitbit. But anyway, she put it out in her car, and then I felt better.
Now, in terms of, despite all the things you've done, it's still getting worse. And when you look at what's going on in your community around you in terms of cell phone antennas and other things that are kind of creating this electromagnetic assault on your environment, what have you been noticing in the last 8 years?
Oh gosh, it's gotten worse and worse. My neighbors, you know, more and more of them have more wireless stuff. It's like the Internet of Things. Wireless, you know, we got smart TVs, smart speakers, wireless burglar alarms. There's more cell towers. The cell towers that we have are getting thick. You know, like there was one at Lakewood Shopping Center that when I first became electrosensitive, I remember it had one sort of thin array at the top, just a thin array of antennas, you know, those big panels you see. And now it's like there are 5 arrays, and they're not thin, they're really thick. There's like an outer array and an inner array and one inside that, and it's 5 deep.
And that's less than a mile from your house, I think.
Yeah, less than a mile from my house, and I can't even get on my front porch anymore. I can't like spend time out there. I love Durham so much, and I love this house. And up until 2010, I was like, I just, you know, I could spend time in my yard. I was, you know, happy out just hanging out on my porch, and you know.
And you're living in, you said the Moorhead Hill area, which is near Immaculata Church School, and also near the Durham Co-op, to give people some idea where they're situated.
And I'm not too far from the School of the Arts either. And I noticed they're putting 5G towers up there right in front of the school, which, you know, it's hazardous to everyone, not just those of us who can feel it.
And so if there's this proliferation of antennas, and people can go to antennasearch.com and put their address in and find out how many antennas they have around their house, and you've got dozens, if not hundreds, in your
well over 100 towers. When you go on that site, you can look at towers and antennas. Antennas are towers that are less than 120 feet.
Yeah.
The ones that are defined as towers are 120 feet or taller. And yeah,
so if they put, if they, and we know about 5G, they're going to have to be putting it on every other telephone pole. So if you get one in front of your house, what's going to happen?
I have to move. I will have to move. And since I've been seeing 5G towers going up around town, I've been looking into trying to figure out a way to move to Green Bank, West Virginia, which is the National Radio Quiet Zone. They have a radio telescope there that has to be protected from wireless emissions from any source because it's a real sensitive antenna.
Well, Ellen, I certainly hope we can prevent you having to move by raising awareness about 5G and other wireless sources around Durham.
Right.
And if people want to go to the Durham 5G free Facebook group, you can find out more about how to get involved. And we appreciate the canaries in the coal mine for their contribution. And the rest of us need to wake up as to what's really going on, because there are much bigger health implications in store here. So thanks, Ellen, for Zooming with me and exposing yourself to a little bit of computer time for the greater good. So thank you.
I know that was a wonderful closeout, but I was wondering if I could mention that some of the people in my electrosensitive group used to live in Durham and have already moved out.
But yeah, that's very,
I just wanted to throw that out there. Those canaries failed.
They flew, and I know that there is evidence that property values go down when they put cell phone towers up near your house. So I'll leave people to ponder that as the 5G rollout continues around the country. Thanks so much, Ellen.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.